I've got a question for you, and I want a straight answer, okay? Are you planning to rely on your son's financial support in the future? Evan's an absolutely brilliant guy, and he's working for a rapidly expanding company. Not only that, he's on the fast track to upper management. He's told me all about how much money trouble you guys had when he was a kid and how you raised him by yourself. Being a single mother most of your life, I can't imagine you have much savings or investments. You're not planning to mooch from your successful son in order to make ends meet, are you?
Melody? I have no idea what you're talking about. The short answer is no, I don't have any such intentions. It's true that we weren't exactly what you'd call wealthy back then after I divorced Evan's father, but we haven't been struggling like that for quite some time now. I'm making more than enough money to support myself. May I ask what brought this on all of a sudden?
Because frankly, I don't believe a word of what you just said. I mean, you never got remarried, right? That means you've been a single mother this whole time. There's no way you have a normal person's idea of a decent quality of living. Plus, the fact that even after all this time, you still can't find a man who's willing to marry you is a huge red flag. There's got to be something wrong with you. I'm 100% sure of it. I mean, besides the fact that no men are interested in some other guy's used goods.
Melody, I'm shocked that you would speak to me like that. What has gotten into you? You've never behaved like this around me in all the time that I've known you. Is something wrong? Did something happen between you and Evan? Are you fighting? Or perhaps is there something that I said or did to offend you somehow? The wedding is just around the corner after all. I'm currently in the airport waiting for my flight to Hawaii. If there's something wrong, or even if you're just nervous about the wedding, you can feel free to talk to me. I don't know what to think about this sudden change in attitude.
Oh, there's nothing sudden about this at all. I've been thinking about this for a long time now. I just thought that I had better make things clear right now before the wedding, you know? I do not want to have to spend the better part of my life constantly dealing with you begging us for money. So if you were planning on taking advantage of us to fund your retirement, you've got another thing coming.
I already told you, Melody, I have absolutely no intentions of relying on the two of you at any point in the future. And I'm not sure how you came to be under this misconception, but I'm not in any sort of financial trouble at all. At the very least, I'm not so hard up for money that I would think of mooching from my son and his wife. So please, Melody, there's nothing for you to worry about. I won't be coming around panhandling at your house. I have to say, however, you seem to be rather hung up on the fact that I was a single mother. The way you talk about it makes me think you have some kind of prejudice towards people like me.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I wasn't interested in hearing your input on the subject. All I wanted to do was give it to you loud and clear that you will not be getting any handouts from us. Oh, and one more thing. After the wedding, we won't be needing you in our lives at all anymore, so I would appreciate it if you could keep your distance.
What? Why would you ask me to stay out of your lives?
Oh, I've got a ton of reasons. How much time do you have? I guess my biggest concern is what we'll have to do once you get old. Like, I would rather die than have to spend all day changing my mother-in-law's diapers. And since God knows you aren't going to ever find a man to support you in your old age, that means it's practically certain that it's gonna fall to me. Plus, having to deal with my mother-in-law at all is gonna be like torture, even before you become even more dead weight than you already are. So I figured the best thing to do would be to cut ties now before I have to go through all of that.
Well, that certainly is a bold position to take. How do you think Evan will feel to know that you said that to me? Do you think he'll go along with you?
Yeah, obviously. In case you haven't noticed, your son is completely obsessed with me. I would never marry any other type of man, to be honest. Like, what good is any man who would choose his mother over his wife, right? So, I know you said you were waiting for your flight to Hawaii, but you could always, not come. Because even if you do, I'm not going to let you into the wedding.
You can't possibly be serious about that. They just called my group to board the plane.
Oh, yeah, I am dead serious. Enjoy your flight. I hope you have a plan B for what to do while you're in Hawaii. Bye-bye.
Well, I just got off my plane and picked up my luggage. I seem to remember Evan telling me that you were going to come and pick me up from the airport. But ever since your little declaration before I boarded the plane, I've been wondering if that has changed.
Wow, you still came all the way out here for the wedding, even after all that? You just can't take a hint, can you? If you must know, I'm at the airport right now to pick up my friends. But there are 5 of us, and the van only has 6 seats, so you're out of luck. You'll just have to walk. Oh, and you should start now. The venue's about 6 hours away on foot.
Okay, I'll just be on my way then.
Wow, that was easier than I expected. You don't seem like you're all that interested in coming to the wedding anymore. That can only mean one thing, that I was right about you being after Evan's money, and now that you know you're not going to get it, you've lost all interest in him.
It's much simpler than that, actually. I know that nothing I say will even get through to you, so I'm not even going to bother. Don't worry about me. I'll walk.
Be careful on your way. Try not to fall into any volcanoes.
I'll do my best.
Where are you right now? I'm on my way to pick you up, so stay right there.
What's the matter, Melody? I thought you told me there wasn't any room for me in the van. It's a lovely day for a walk. I'm already well on my way.
Please come back to the airport. I'll give you a ride.
Goodness gracious, Melody, I can't keep up. Up until yesterday, you were always sweet and kind to me. Then not even 12 hours ago, you treated me like a leech and demanded I cut off contact with you. And now you're desperate to help me once again? Well, you're too late. I still have 5 hours and 55 minutes left on this walk. I'd like to make it in time to thank the other guests for coming on their way out.
But I'm telling you, I'm gonna give you a ride to the venue. You've only been walking for 5 minutes. How far could you possibly have gotten?
And what is it to you? You're the one who told me to walk.
I had no idea. You were the one who got us the reservation for this venue and even paid the full cost of the wedding and the hotel. Evan told me you talked to him. You sent him a screenshot of our conversation and everything. Evan called me right after you did and started screaming his head off. He's never gotten this angry at me before. I mean, he's never gotten angry at me, period. He's always so calm and soft-spoken. It's so unlike him that it's kind of scary.
I'll bet it is. But honestly, Melody, what did you expect was going to happen? I raised Evan all by myself after me and my ex-husband broke up. Not only that, I paid for his entire wedding as a present. And you went and did everything in your power to prevent me from attending. I can't think of anything that would infuriate him more than that.
Okay, I get it. Hindsight is 20/20, and when you say it like that, I guess I was a wee bit out of line earlier. But look at it from my perspective, okay? I had no idea about any of that. If I had known, I never would have done something like that.
Indeed, and if I had known before what a vile harpy you really were, I never would have consented to you marrying my son. When you texted me before I boarded the plane, I thought for sure there must be some good reason for you to have spoken that way to me. I was thinking about it the entire time I was on the plane. But now you've shown me with your actions that no, there was no good reason. There was no reason at all. You're just a bad person. So I'm afraid I'm no longer as enthusiastic about your marrying my son. If anything, I'll bet my son is thinking the same way as I am right now.
I am so sorry. I was a total jerk. I admit it. So please, can't you find it in your heart to forgive me? Evan is really mad at me. I'm getting afraid that he actually might be considering canceling the wedding. I've tried to contact him a bunch of times since he called me, but he won't respond.
If you're worried about the wedding being canceled, the person to talk to would be me. I'm the one who made the reservation, after all, and I already called the venue and canceled it, so Evan is no doubt far too busy to talk with the likes of you.
What? How can you say something like that so casually? My life is on the line here.
No, only your marriage to my son. However, if my son had actually married you today, then his future would certainly have had a dark cloud hanging over it. Frankly, I am relieved that the wedding isn't going to happen anymore.
You can't do this to me. I'm begging you, come with me to the wedding. That's what you want, right? Don't you want to come to your son's wedding? Well, you can. I take back everything I said.
I think you're underestimating how badly you screwed up. My son now knows exactly what kind of a garbage human being you are. I doubt there's anything that you or even I could do to change his mind.
But you can't know that unless we try.
No, trust me, I know. I'm his mother, after all. I've been watching over him ever since the day he was born.
Then What should I do now?
Well, your first order of business is to give up on ever marrying my son.
Hey, Mom, I'm really sorry for what happened. Where are you right now? As you can probably guess, things are pretty hectic around here, so I don't know when I'll be able to come and pick you up. If you want, step into a cafe or something and just chill for a while. The wedding is canceled, obviously, so you don't need to worry about coming out all this way.
I'm glad to see how comfortable you are saying that. I was debating whether or not I should tell you about what Melody said and did to me. I thought that maybe if I kept my mouth shut, you and her might genuinely be happy together. She is the woman you chose to be your wife, so she must have some redeeming qualities. But I thought there wouldn't be any way to hide it. If I actually showed up at the venue 6 hours later, drenched in sweat and exhausted, you would no doubt have asked questions. So the best thing to do was be upfront with you about the whole thing.
You were absolutely right to tell me about her, Mom. I had no idea that's the kind of person she was. The fact that she would do this to anyone, much less my mom, is just insane. Honestly, I had a hard time believing it at first, but when I called her and asked her about it, sure enough, she didn't pick you up like she said she would. She tried passing it off as an accident, saying she forgot, but I was too mad to hear anything she had to say.
I don't doubt that at all. You're probably even angrier about this than I am. But if she was going to reveal her true nature like this, I'm glad she did it before the wedding. I'm sure there are much better women out there for you than her.
You worked so hard to provide for me up until now, Mom. You didn't deserve to be treated with that kind of contempt. I'm really sorry for this. I'm partially responsible. It's like you said, she's the woman I chose to be my wife, and she said such terrible things to you. Don't worry, though. I'm gonna make sure the next girl I propose to is someone who'll treat you with the respect you deserve.
I'm honored to hear you say that, but remember one thing. I want you to be the kind of man who cares more for his wife than he does for his mother.
I know, but if I'm going to love and respect a woman, she's gonna have to love and respect my mother, too. I mean, yeah, she'll obviously be the #1 woman in the world for me, but you know what I mean.
I understand you just fine, dear, and thank you.
Anyway, you don't need to worry about my love life. This may seem kind of weird coming from your son, but don't you think it's time you had your own? I've been aware of this for a long time now, but you made the conscious decision to not get remarried, didn't you? Also, you could focus more time on me.
Evan, I don't know what you mean.
It's okay, Mom. You don't need to hide it from me. The truth is that I remember this one time, back when I was really young. You had told me that there was a nice man at the place where you worked, and you wanted me to meet him. Then when he came to the house, he gave you a hug and a kiss, and I threw an absolute tantrum. I was crying and screaming, "Don't hug my mommy, she's my mommy!"
Oh, yes, I do remember that day. It was so adorable how jealous you got, seeing me getting attention from someone other than you.
No, it wasn't. It was awful, and I'm ashamed of that. I might have been young at the time, but I was old enough to understand, even if only subconsciously. That guy wanted to marry you, didn't he? And you wanted to marry him too. I was afraid that if you married someone, then you wouldn't love me as much anymore. That's why I went so crazy, because I didn't want him to take you away from me, and after that, I never saw you spending time with any other men ever again. All you ever did was focus on your job, housework, and taking care of me. But even with everything you had sacrificed for my sake, you never seemed sad or angry about it at all. As I've gotten older, the weight of what I did back then has been getting heavier and heavier. I'm really sorry for that, Mom.
Oh, you poor dear. You've really been carrying that regret around with you all this time? You don't need to beat yourself up about anything. This is the path that I chose for myself. You were always the single most important thing in the world to me. There were times when I thought that you would benefit from having a positive male influence in the home, so I seriously thought about getting married. But if it would only cause you emotional pain, then what good would it do? I don't need to have a husband in order to be happy. All I need is to see my boy living the best life he possibly can.
Thank you so much, Mom, for everything. But really, I'm an adult now. I can take care of myself, so I want you to go out and find someone who makes you happy, okay? Actually, I was planning to tell you that at the wedding, but now that plan has fallen through. You said that all you want is my happiness, and I feel the same way about you.
Thank you so much, Evan. But today's events have brought more than enough turmoil into your life, I'd say. I would hate to add any more to that by getting married myself.
Please, don't hold back on finding your own happiness for my sake. Don't forget that you saved me from marrying that horrible woman. I owe you one. If I had gotten married to her, I would have been miserable for the rest of my life. So as of right now, I'm back on the road to a bright and happy future. You should feel free to walk down the same path for yourself.
What could I have possibly done to deserve such a wonderful, loving son as you, Evan? I think that's a wonderful idea. Let's both do our best to look to the future. I'm sure there will be some sadness for you surrounding today's events, but if you ever need any help from me, feel free to ask.
Sadness? Nah, I'm not going to be sad at all. Just a little bit before I texted you, something absolutely unbelievable happened.
Oh? What else could possibly happen today?
I honestly can't believe it, but Melody has been lying to me this whole time, so if you'll excuse me, I need to go and take care of some unfinished business.
What business? Evan, what's going on?
Please, I'm begging you. You've got to do something. I need you to talk to Evan for me. If I don't act fast, then I'll never be able to get married to Evan. All I ever wanted was to build a big, happy family together with your son. So come on, can you please give me one last chance? If you talk to him, I know that he'll understand why I did what I did. I'll do anything you want, so please.
You're too late, Melody. I already heard everything. Just when I thought my opinion of you couldn't possibly get any lower. You've got some nerve to contact me like this.
It's not what you think. I was only ever serious about Evan. He's the man I really love. Please, you've got to believe me.
What am I supposed to believe, Melody? Your lies or the evidence that your boyfriend brought with him to the wedding? Are you not content with playing my son Evan for a fool? You need to lie to me as well? I can't believe you would cheat on a man so kind and loving as Evan. I will never forgive you for such a callous betrayal.
I never meant for things to go this far. It was all a mistake. I just got caught up in the moment. I'm more committed now than ever to becoming the best wife possible for Evan. I'm so sorry for everything. Please, you have to forgive me.
It may have been a simple mistake for you, but that man seems to think otherwise. I mean, would he really fly all the way out to Hawaii if you were just caught up in the moment? And not only that, he came with the intent to barge in during the wedding to stop you from marrying Evan. I've never met a bigger couple of sleazeballs in my life.
I know that was bad, really, really bad. But I was very direct with him about my intentions with our relationship. I told him clearly that I would only be able to see him up until the wedding, and after that we would completely cut ties. If we ever ran into each other on the street, we would pretend to be strangers. That was the plan.
Well, apparently you didn't communicate that well enough. You don't think the fact that you were showering him with gifts and money toward the end might have given him the wrong idea? He thought that all he had to do was show you how serious he really was about you, and you would leave Evan for him. And the fact that he bought a ticket to Hawaii certainly proves that, I'd say.
I'm sorry. How many more times do I have to say it? But I only wanted Evan. I really was going to marry him today. Doesn't that show you that I was serious about him? That other guy is definitely not husband material.
You know, I absolutely agree. That's something your boyfriend has in common with you. You are definitely not wife material. And just so you know, Evan has zero intentions to marry you anymore. Whatever the grand plans you have to win him back are, I advise you not to waste your time.
I can't just give up, not yet. I need to marry Evan. I already quit my job and everything. I gave this big goodbye speech about how I was going to marry the most eligible bachelor in the entire city. So what am I supposed to do? Walk back in and ask for my job back? That would be the most humiliating thing ever.
And it would be precisely what you deserve. I'm sure you're feeling an incredibly powerful wave of remorse crashing over you right now. Evan is kind, handsome, and has a promising career. You weren't exaggerating when you called him the most eligible bachelor in the city. Isn't that ironic, though? Just yesterday, you messaged me telling me that you didn't want me to rely on Evan for financial support, but you were trying to do the exact thing you were accusing me of. You even told me that you didn't want me in your lives anymore after the wedding. But now you're coming to me to grovel and beg me to save your marriage?
But I never thought things would have turned out this way.
That's because you have an ego the size of the entire solar system.
You're right. You're totally right. I deserve all the ridicule you could throw at me. But if I don't marry Evan, then my life really is over.
There's something else you haven't told us, isn't there?
Yeah. The truth is, I borrowed quite a bit of money before getting married because I figured Evan could help me pay it all off. You know, to buy clothes and handbags and shoes.
And spend time with your boyfriend?
Maybe just a little.
Honestly, Melody, that doesn't surprise me in the least. But what do you want me to say? Did you think I would hear that sob story and say, "Oh, you poor dear, here, let me pay off that debt for you"? The world isn't such a forgiving place.
But if you don't help me, then what am I supposed to do?
You're an adult. Figure something out yourself. I'm not your mother nor your mother-in-law. If you were one or the other, then maybe I would feel some compulsion to give you a hand. But you're nothing to me at all. You're no different than any stranger I pass by on the street. So all I can say is that I hope you suffer as much as you deserve.
No, this can't be happening. I'm really sorry for being mean to you and cheating on Evan. I was acting terribly and I regret all of it. I'll never do any of that again, so please help me.
I wouldn't even give you my hand if you were drowning in the ocean. I have no reason at all to help you, and every reason to enjoy the show as your life comes crashing down around you. Also, since you were hiding your affair from Evan, I advised him to sue you for marriage fraud. You may be in paradise right now, but that only lasts until you leave. Your plane out of here won't be taking you home. You'll be taking a one-way trip to the deepest bowels of hell. Evan has always been a quiet, mild-mannered boy, but Melody's betrayal struck him to the core. He sued her for marriage fraud, and they're currently in discussions for a settlement. No longer having to deal with that awful woman has brought a new sense of peace to my life. On a request from Evan, I've decided to begin looking for someone who I could share the rest of my life with. The search may take some time for me, but goodness gracious, that Evan really is a lady killer. Not but a few weeks after the debacle of the wedding, he had already found another young lady for himself, and they seemed quite serious. After getting back from Hawaii, I understand that Melody has had trouble finding stable employment and is instead juggling multiple part-time jobs. She's having quite a bit of difficulty making ends meet while also having to save up money to pay off the settlement once it's decided on. Do I feel sorry for her at all? No, not one bit. She brought all of this on herself.